Hello friends, I am Rishita Gupta. I have secured rank 18 in UPSC Civil Service exam this year. This was my first attempt and my optional is Public Administration. And today I would like to share my strategy for the same. First of all, don't be scared of taking Public Administration, which is one of the most passionate optional subjects among all. If you have fair interest in understanding the concepts and knowing the fundamentals of administration, particularly the theoretical aspects of the same, you can easily go for this subject. Also, public administration lies at the interface of various other concepts. So, it is a more or less a very multi-dimensional subject, so you will enjoy studying it. Only thing is that you have to ensure that you have a very simple strategy. This exam is enough difficult, let's not make it more complicated by a difficult strategy. So, a very simple and very consistent strategy will help you get good marks in the subject. I have scored 312 marks and you can go about scoring 300 plus by this simple strategy. So, certain things which I followed and which I think worked for me are firstly is that you should be focusing on less number of sources and more number of revisions. I think this is an omnipresent fact which has been told by various toppers in the past years, and this is something that we need to understand, that we don't have to read 10 books for a topic. A single book would suffice, but we need to read that single book wisely, be able to understand the concepts. Conceptual understanding, I think, lies at the fulcrum of scoring good marks in this exam. So, clearer your concept, you will be able to write anything about anything that is asked in the exam, because you cannot understand the question, you can only understand the topic. Next thing is that you have to do a lot of writing practice. As we all know that there is dire shortage of time in the examination hall, and in that less time you have to think, analyze, write. So, it is very difficult to manage that if you do not practice in advance. So, do some writing practice, take test series, so that you would be able to know your shortcomings and how you have to improve. Last but not the least is how you have to ensure that you do not study the subject in any isolation. You have to link various topics among themselves in a given paper. Besides that, you also have to ensure that you adequately link paper 1 with paper 2. From your end, there should be no difference between the two. You should be writing elements of paper 2 in paper 1 and vice versa. Beside that, you should be able to link a static with the dynamic. So, for instance, you read a thinker, you read about his theory, his postulates, you should be able to link it to current happenings. So, for this, whenever you read newspaper, keep this thing in your mind that this particular topic, this particular article, editorial could be relevant with this particular topic of the exam. So, in that way, these various levels of interlinking will help you to understand the concepts even in a better format. Following up with the sources, as I already mentioned that you need to refer to very few sources. So, I am sharing mine. In paper 1, I refer to Business Studies NCERT class 12th and BCom and MCom material. Now, this is a little off track of referring to business books for the public administration examination, but trust me, for administrative thinkers and behavior, you will be able to understand their theories in a more simple language if you refer to these books. You can definitely add this with Prasad and Prasad for thinkers, and Mohit Bhattacharya, The New Horizons of Public Administration. Again, that book is relevant for almost all the topics of this particular paper. Other than that, I also refer to IGNOU material, which is easily again available. And last but not the least is the second ARC. Second ARC reports are although more relevant for paper 2, but even in paper 1, as I said that you have to interlink the papers, you will be able to find a lot of topics where second ARC reports are very relevant. For a particular topic which is public policy, which is very important topic of this paper, I referred a specific book named Bidyut Chakrabarti and Prakash Chand Public Policy. this book has details of various models of public policy and how various public policies are formulated. For paper 2, I refer to Rajni Goyal and Arora for the concepts. For various other concepts which are very factual in nature, I also referred Lakshmikant, the basic Lakshmikant that we refer for political science. Other than that, it's all the second ARC reports, Niti Aayog data, PRS data, data from various ministries. So more or less the government data and government sources have been my sources for this exam, because the more you quote what is happening in the government, more authentic your answers would seem. Next is the newspaper. We all know the importance of newspaper in this entire examination. I refer to Indian Express, Mint and some editorials of Hindu. I would make short notes of the same after having read the newspaper, only of what I have been able to understand. So my notes would not be big copying from the newspaper. It would be just a couple of lines or a paragraph or so to know what I have been able to understand from the same. Next, I would like to speak about the answer writing strategy. So I try to stick to a particular format for the answers. This I discovered after having written various tests. So what did I do? I had a format for instance for paper 1. There is the general format which you have to follow for both the papers, that is introduction, body and conclusion. And how to break that, because it's not easy to figure out कि हम introduction को break कहाँ पे करें, what is introduction, body क्या होता है. So you need to define that this is how I am going to introduce my answer and how I am going to conclude. Introduction and conclusion I think are very important and very defining of an answer. So in introduction for paper 1, I would explain the concept, because paper 1 में more or less कोई concept होगा, कोई thinker होगा, तो 2-3 लाइन में उसको explain कर दिया. And with that I would add an example from paper 2 so that I am able to establish the link right from the introduction. Then in the body I would go into the detail of whatever relevant thinker is. और एक थिंकर लिखने के बाद आई विल ट्राई टू लिंक इट विद अनदर थिंकर. फॉर इंस्टेंस कोई क्वेश्चन ह्यूमन रिलेशंस पे आता है, आपने पहले MP फॉले की थिंकिंग लिख दिया, देन आपको लग रहा है कि यार इस क्वेश्चन पे शायद अब्राहम मैस्लो की कोई थ्योरी का एस्पेक्ट आ सकता है या हर्बर्ट साइमन की कोई थ्योरी का एस्पेक्ट आ सकता है. टू ट्राई टू लिंक विद एटलीस्ट वन थिंकर, मतलब मेक दैट अ फॉर्मूला दैट एटलीस्ट एक थिंकर से तो लिंक हमें इसको करना है. एंड आफ्टर दैट इन द बॉडी इटसेल्फ जो भी डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन में पूछा गया था जिस थिंकर या जिस थ्योरी के बारे में, उसका 1 या 2 पॉइंट में क्रिटिसिज्म एंड पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट. ट्राई टू बी क्रिटिकल इन योर आंसर by writing both the positives and negatives. And now coming to conclusion, try to make your conclusion more application based, because at the end of the day अगर एक particular question आपसे पूछा गया है तो उसका कुछ purpose है, otherwise वो question paper में आता ही नहीं. तो try to find the purpose of the question and try to write in the conclusion कि ये इसका application है. For instance, this year in paper 1 there were I think a couple of questions which was directly from NPA, the new public administration. So try to ensure कि आप conclusion में ये चीज़ highlight करें that how that world over new public administration has been taking a place. Coming to paper 2, again more or less same answer का format रहा है, but यहाँ क्योंकि थोड़ा dynamic का scope ज़्यादा है तो वही चीज़ें हैं. तो introduction में what I used to do that in a couple of line I would try to show the examiner that I have understood why you asked this question. This is a very I think a trick that I discovered, that once you explain the examiner कि ये question क्यों आया और मुझे पता है ये question क्यों आया है, so it reveals कि आप पूरे साल न्यूज़पेपर से अपडेटेड रहे हैं और आप एक अवेयर सिटीजन हैं. तो जैसे इस बार जुडिशरी पे क्वेश्चन आ गया था पेपर 2 में, so I wrote about why that was asked, because the judiciary was in news throughout the year for some or the other reasons. तो आप वो मेंशन कर दीजिए. एंड उसके साथ कोई अगर कोई कमेटी की रिपोर्ट आपको ध्यान में आती है या एनीथिंग विच इज़ रेलिवेंट, ट्राई टू मेंशन दैट. इन बॉडी आई वुड एक्सप्लेन जो भी क्वेश्चन में था, देन बी क्रिटिकल, अगेन राइटिंग द पॉजिटिव्स एंड नेगेटिव्स, एंड मीनवाइल ट्राई टू लिंक इट विद पेपर 1. सो एनी थिंकर देयर विल ऑलवेज बी अ टॉपिक which you can put in the paper 2 of paper 1. So try to do that. And in conclusion, again, a conclusion should be a way forward. That's something I followed for paper 2 exclusively, that my conclusion had to be a way forward for what can happen in the future, or what should be my opinion, or what should be my comment on something that can happen in the future. So that was how I followed the answer writing in public administration. So if you go about doing simple strategies, simple things, adequate revision, adequate writing practice, you will be able to get through good marks. Thank you.